If you don't see tax as a violation of private property, then looting can be destruction and appropriation of a fair share of public goods. So this is part of my shorty series where I take short thoughts and expand on them. And right now, as I'm recording this, this is on sometime in the start of June. There's currently protests and riots going on in the United States of America. The country's burning. The country's burning. But it's no, the country's not burning. There's certain places that are burning. Just like the current pandemic that's still going on, that's probably over now because after all these people being out there protesting and rioting and things like that, most of these democratic cities that are also hotspots in the actual corona situation, a lot of those leaders are like, yeah, you can just be outside. It's okay. We support you. They're not going to be able to like reopen and go back to closing and saying, oh, you have to go back home now. You can't be out in public. So that's over. I think that's done. But this thing in general, with the actual rioting, people looking at these things. I've been talking about this before. There's other things I've thought of this. I'm against what the police did. I'm also against the violation of private property. I don't see where these two separate things where these have to be separate. These two ideas can exist, can coexist. Part of the reason I'm against the police is because the police themselves are agents of the state that are the ones who enforce the laws of the states, the rules of the states that do actually violate the private property of people. When they're taking taxation from you, if anybody else does what the government does while they're doing the taxation, it's considered theft and extortion. If somebody comes in, if I went into your store and I was like, I'm just going to take 15% of your income so you can have this actual, I'm cutting off your water. You can only get water from me. You can only get electricity from me. You can only get these things. I'm the one who's giving you the regulations. I'm the one who's allowing you to actually open this store here. If you don't actually pay me my 25% or my 15% for certain things, my 25% for this else, and then everybody else who comes into your store has to give me a certain amount of the sales that you actually make. If I started doing that to you, you could call the state, and the state will send their police office enforcement agents to stop me from doing that, to jail me from doing that. Now, if you personally don't give them their percentage, those policemen, those police enforcement agents will come to your place and shut you down. During this pandemic, people have been like, can I go out and work? No, they were like, no, we're going to come down and shut you down. We're going to prevent you from actually working, from actually being open. That's what these people do. That's the core purpose of police. It's not your security, it's the security of the state. And then the state itself normally gets its authority, it gets its legitimacy from people having trust that the state has their interests in the best. So if you personally are somehow, just look at what's happening with private actual businesses, private residences, and then look at the protection that's happening with actual state agencies. Yes, even that Minneapolis police station, it was being defended by the National Guard. And then the mayor, it was something like the governor was like, okay, we should defend this place. Then the mayor in the area was like, no, actually, let's pull out the National Guard. Let's give them room to heal, room to express themselves. Because that's what they do in these Democrats places. This started, I think the first time I heard this was in the Baltimore protests after the Freddie Gray incident. And the Freddie Gray incident was another one, another good, diverse group of policemen that were involved in this thing. This thing is not just white policemen attacking black people only, black men, because how many actually women get caught up in this? So anyway, there's all these things. But one thing you got to understand is if you actually don't accept that taxation is a violation of private property, is extortion, is theft, because you think these people are just paying their fair share. I somehow have a right, society in general has a right to a certain percentage of what you owe. Then it also comes down to like you don't have a right to actually you didn't build that business. That is society's business. If it's for the society's better actual goods, you should actually shut down. So when it comes down to this, some of these people are out there just protesting and taking the things, and they're like, this is just our percentage. This is the percentage that's owed. This is our fair share of the goods that you have gotten. You have gotten these goods thanks to being part of this society. You have no right to actually have ownership over these goods. We are just distributing this. We're just appropriating this to ourselves. This is just our reparations for the slights that you've given us. And this is all over the place. And like I'm saying, it's not just Black Americans doing this. You see a diverse swath of people doing this. But I think one thing you might actually be able to do is go out and check the political leanings of these people. See their social political leanings about these people. See what they think about politics. And you'll see a lot of them a pro taxation. And I don't know if I'm going to include this here. This is another short thought I just thought of right now. A lot of things are coming to me. It's a lot of things going on. Was what if people actually decided, instead of protesting this, forget the whole attacking private property, because this is not about George Floyd. This is not about actual racism. These are about a lot of issues. A lot of things have piled up. It's election season. The coronavirus shutdown is with them. People have been out of work. There's a lot of stress and a lot of things going on. These things seem to be cyclical due to lack of communication, lack of knowledge about just the general world and how things work, partly because of the state itself with its education system or schooling system that just dumbs people down. And a lot of these people go through these systems and just completely failed. There's a lack of parenting. There's so much a lack of things. There's too many people feeling guilty for this false idea of how their actual cultures are, when if they were actually honest about what the United States of America was, instead of this dreams and nightmares and all these things, then people would have a more realistic idea of what to expect out of life and just not just think like, oh, we're this and we're that. So there's a lot of frustration, a lot of things going into this. But when you talk about this, what if people had decided to actually just decided to stop allowing their taxes to be garnished? Just keep their money and say, no, we're not sending that in. We're not sending our 15% in. We're keeping that. You're not allowed to take this money away from us anymore. I mean, I think for part of the same reason they don't understand what taxation is. So when they're thinking that, and in general, most of the people who are actually protesting, this is one thing that I think was 100%. If you actually look and see, these are not net taxpayers who are actually protesting. A net taxpayer is somebody who pays more in taxes in all different forms: income tax, sales tax, property taxes, and all these things, than they get actually in public services. Most of these people out there protesting and rioting, especially the rioters, I think you'll find most of these people are actually people who benefit from tax, who are the ones receiving most of the benefits from actual redistributed money that's taken away from other more productive people, in the sense of the taxation machine in the whole system of the state. I think you'll notice that would be a thing. So for them, they're like, no, what taxes are they going to stop paying when they're already getting more from it? Now they're just getting bonus goods. So it's just there's some frustration with this. I'm just annoyed by this whole situation. I think it will pass. I still think Trump's going to win, because I'm not completely agreeing with his whole idea of going out and taking out the military and things like that. Things might escalate a bit more in the next week or so, but these things normally peter out. I don't think people will be able to maintain this level of fervor for as long as it's going. Things are going to switch around, but let me know what you think about these two thoughts. These are part of my shorty series where I think of short thoughts and I expand on them in comments and hopefully engage you in these. I have some set up for Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday. You're going to have videos posted on my YouTube channel. And like, share, subscribe, hit the notification if you are subscribed or if you are subscribing. Also links to our merchandise store. And what else? I'm forgetting something else. Yeah, sometimes I'll be having double posts a day because a lot of things are happening and some things are time sensitive. So I'll be posting them. But on those days, I have videos set up that are not necessarily time sensitive. It's just more just about my thoughts and things I read and I think things that are useful or might be interesting to you. Till next time, goodbye.